Are in the second end now, and as you can see on the scoreboard, Daria and Mello did score 2 in the first end, stealing 2 in the first end to go up 2-0. We do have 2 other games that are live. You can sort of see it on the wide screen. 6 teams playing here, so 2 other games. Over on sheet B, we have Rodriguez and Rodriguez. They're playing against Androver and Mitsuo. And on sheet D, we have Gonçalves and Serginho playing against Barros and McMullen. So we will keep you up to date on those scores as well. And you can follow all the scores on curlingzone.com. For those of you joining us for the first time, we are playing mixed doubles, so it's 2-on-2, 1 male, 1 female, and if it's the first time that you're watching this discipline, we'll make sure we give you all the rules as the broadcast progresses. Well, it's day 2 of these championships. I know the teams have had a chance to settle into the ice. They've played each 3 games. How have things gone so far in your eyes?
Well, this morning they were getting used to the ice still a bit, but I feel like now, as this is the second game of the day, in the afternoon, they should be well adjusted and playing to the best of their abilities.
And these teams are coming in from around the world to Toronto to play in these Brazilian championships. Does that mean there's no dedicated curling ice in Brazil yet?
Not quite yet, but there are plans to have ice made.
That's great. Well, I know they've had these championships in Vancouver in the past, so we're very happy to host them here in Toronto, and also very happy to bring you live streaming coverage courtesy of Curling Zone. So some of these teams are coming in from quite far away.
Yeah. The farthest we have is Scott McMullen. He's come from South Korea, I believe.
From South Korea?
Yeah.
And he's, of course, well, not of course, but he is born in Canada, I believe, in Winnipeg, and he lived in Brazil for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have teams from Vancouver area as well as Switzerland. So it's really exciting to have all of these players come to Toronto to play the national championships. Well, we're getting close to the final couple of rocks. In fact, this is the last stone for Daria and Mello. In this end, they do not have the hammer and throw in the yellow stones. That's Marcelo Mello with his final stone, trying to make a draw into the forefoot or into the button area. It looks like red is sitting shot stone right now. It's a good looking shot.
And it's right in the button.
Right on the button. Very nice shot. As you mentioned, Giovanna, the teams are starting to get a better feel of the ice today, and especially this afternoon. Now this should be a pretty exciting match. Mello and Daria have lots of experience. They just came back from the World Mixed Curling Championships, and Marcelo, of course, has been skipping the men's team for a quite a long time.
Yeah.
They are 3-0 in the standings, and just to keep everyone up to date on what the current standings are of the 6 teams, Daria and Mello and Gonçalves and Serginho, they're leading the standings at 3-0. Barros and McMullen are at 2-1. Shibuya and Alves are 1-2. And at 0-3, Androver and Mitsuo, Rodriguez and Rodriguez, they have yet to win a game. But they've still got 3 games left. And of these 6 teams, 4 teams will make the playoffs. So it's very important to get into the top 4.
Yeah.
Shibuya trying to come down on top of Marcelo Melo's rock. Just comes up a bit short. The line was really nice, though. Sienna throwing the final stones for yellow here. She's trying to play an out-turn draw, trying to squeeze another yellow rock into the button.
Looks a bit light.
Yeah, just a little bit light, and maybe over-curling a little bit, so they've just left it short, and they've guarded that path, so that's a pretty good result. It'd be quite difficult for Shibuya and Alves to get a red rock into the button. Well, Giovanna, are they going to play the draw here? I think that's the only option they have, is to play the in-turn draw.
Yep. I mean, it's hard to tell because there's no one holding up the broom due to the new rules. But we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like the in-turn draw. Not a lot of room to draw to. Trying to get it by this rock in the top 8 foot. It just rubs off of it. So it looks like a steal of 1 for sure. And they're having a look at the other rocks in the 4 foot. Marcelo thinks it's 2, but they're going to have a measure. So they'll call out the official for the measure, or I think they might be measuring themselves. As you mentioned, some new rules have been instituted in the mixed doubles discipline, and one of the rules that is different from the 4-person curling is you do not have to have somebody in the house holding the broom. So you can have that person who would have normally been in the house out with the thrower sweeping the rock, or they can be in the house. It's the choice of the teams, and you'll see different teams play differently.
Yeah, so it is quite different from the team dynamic.
And there's the confirmation. It is 2 for yellow. And Maria and Mello take a 4-0 lead after 2 ends. Good start for them. The other big difference between the 4-person game and the 2-person game, this mixed doubles game, is the rocks that are positioned at the start of an end. So the team who has the hammer places their rock on the back of the 4 foot. In this case, that red rock is being positioned in the back of the 4 foot. And the team without the hammer, who's throwing first, positions a center line guard. So that's the yellow stone that's up there. And each team also has the opportunity to use what we call a power play. And so once a game, each team may call a power play, and during a power play, instead of placing the center line guard, the guard is moved to a corner guard, either the left or right side. It's up to the teams to decide. And then the rock that is on the back of the 4 foot is actually now behind the guard on the 8 foot line. So 2 stationary rocks start the end. Each team delivers 5 rocks per end between the 2 players. And the player who delivers the first rock will also deliver the last rock, and the other player will deliver rocks 2, 3, and 4. And the teams can decide to alternate who plays the first and last and the middle rocks. So in one end, one player might play the first and the fifth, In another end, that same player might play the second, third, and fourth. So some teams will change it up if things aren't working well, or some teams might have a strategy that is different whether they have the hammer or don't have the hammer. Well, we're at the start of the third end, and Barea put up another guard. That was supposed to be a draw. It comes up short, so this gives Red a good opportunity to come around and make use of this staggered double guard. But they also come in a bit tight. Touch the guard. Puts up another guard. There are lots of guards in play right now.
Yeah. Really guarding that back rock over there.
Marcelo trying to come through this port. I'm curious why Marcelo didn't play the out turn and try to come in around the other way. Maybe he's feeling that this side of the ice has a bit more curl, or he just knows the speed better. Looked like a more difficult shot than going around the other way, but this is Claudio Alves, 31 years old, originally from Sao Paulo, now living in Vancouver, BC. Started curling in 2015 and plays at the Royal City Curling Club in New Westminster, British Columbia. Well, both teams having a bit of a problem getting behind those guards. Important rock here for Mello. He can get this around, be the first one into the button. Could be the scoring point. This one gets by the guards, maybe just a little bit heavy. Rolls off the back red rock. Well, with that miss from Alves, again crashing on the guard, Marcelo has another chance to put another yellow rock into the rings, and if he puts this one in the top of the button or the top of the forefoot, it will become very difficult for Shibuya and Alves to score. think Marcelo would have liked that to be in the rings, but he's completely content with that being a bit short. I think that was the right way to air. It ends up guarding his yellow rock. Giovanna, I think it's not surprising that Doria and Mello are 3-0 in this tournament. I think many people would consider them one of the favorites coming into the tournament with their experience.
Yeah, they've curled a lot together from what I've heard, so they've had practice.
Claudio now switching to the counterclockwise turn. This is the out turn for a right-hander, but Claudio is actually left-handed, so that would be his in turn. Well, the weight was perfect, just didn't quite have the right line.
Looks like he's trying to attempt a hit and roll right now.
Luciana trying to make the hidden roll. Close. A nice hit. Didn't quite get the roll, but a really nice shot. This is the final stone now for Shibuya and Alves, playing the red stones. Yellow sitting shot rock on the back of the forefoot. Needs to make a good draw here to score. Will they get a little bit of a kiss off this yellow rock and roll in? There it is. And that's, I think it's good enough for a red. They're having a close look. Yep, and it is, one red. So good final shot there, making use of the yellow rock to get a little bit of a kick off of it. Rolls it into the back of the forefoot. And it's 1 point for Shibuya and Alves. The score is now 4-1. Barea and Mello with the lead and with the hammer back in the fourth end. Quick update on the other sheets. Over on sheet B, Rodriguez and Rodriguez, they have a 2-1 lead over Adrover and Mitsuo. And on sheet D, the score is 3-0 in favor of Gonzalez and Cerqueño. They're leading Barros and McMullen. Well, Giovanna, 6 teams in this competition.
Mm-hmm.
4 teams make the playoffs, right?
Yeah. So they really gotta fight for the top spot.
And the top spots do make a difference for the playoffs, as we are using the Page playoff system for these championships. What that means is the first place team plays the second place team in the first round of the playoffs, and the winner gets a bye right into the final. And the loser of that first and second place game gets a second chance in the semifinals. and they play the winner of the third place and fourth place team. So the winner of the third place and fourth place team move on to the semifinals. So very important to get into the top 4. Fifth and sixth place will be eliminated. And as we mentioned, this is the 4th round robin game for them out of 5. So they have got one more round robin game tomorrow morning at 9:30. And then there'll be the first round of the playoffs in the afternoon. And then the semifinals and finals are happening on Saturday. And if you live in the Toronto area and want to give curling a try, particularly if you're Brazilian or Latin American, the Brazilian curlers are inviting you out on Saturday afternoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giovanna?
Yeah, we're having a little event. Any of you can come by, doesn't matter if you're a beginner. Doesn't matter if you've never even stepped on the ice once. This is just a special opportunity for you to get on the ice and just try it out.
With these Brazilian national curlers, right?
Yeah.
And that's happening Saturday afternoon. What time is that?
I believe around 1:30. I'm not quite sure.
We'll double check that, but sometime in the afternoon. 1:30 sounds about right to
Yeah.
me. About 1:30 to 4 o'clock or so, I think. At the Royal Canadian Curling Club on Broadview and Queen Street East. Yellow's got 2 rocks on the back of the forefoot. The first one was the one that was placed there to start the end. The second one was just drawn in. So important rock here for Claudio to get one in front of those 2 yellow rocks. Nicely done. Back of the button. Giovanna, I know you're a curler, but you're a bit injured, so not playing this week. But your mom is out there playing, right?
Yeah, she's playing with Scott McMullen. So they've got, I think, 2 wins already, which is pretty good. I'm proud.
Are you nervous watching your mom play?
A bit. There are some shots that she makes that I'd kind of like, that I would do differently, but it's okay.
I always find it's more nervous to watch your loved ones play than to actually be playing yourself.
Yeah. Because, you worry about what they're doing, and you're scared that they don't know what they're doing, kind of.
And I think coaches have the same feeling too, and I think it's even worse when your coach is also a loved one. So I think that's double the nervousness.
Yeah.
If we have one of those here watching the game. Claudia a little bit heavy on that draw attempt. Looks like yellow is setting shot rock on the left side of the back forefoot. Curling is a relatively new sport for Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
When did it all start, Giovanna? Do you remember?
Well, my mom started curling in 2010 because she saw it in the Winter Olympics and she was sort of intrigued, so she tried it out and she started getting all her Brazilian friends into it, and they sort of decided to make a Brazilian curling league out of it, which was pretty cool. So I'd say around 7 years technically, but it hasn't really, the league hasn't really been in for like that long.
Mm-hmm. Marcelo asking for the sweeping. The line was perfect, just a little bit light, but that's a really nice shot. It's a rock that can be promoted up later. And so Brazil, one of the relatively newer members of the World Curling Federation family, but they have been playing at the World Mixed Doubles, the World Mixed. I had a chance to meet the World Mixed team in Champéry, Switzerland in October. We were not in the same pool. I played for Hong Kong and we were in a different pool, but we had a chance to chat and hang out after the games. And the Brazilian men and the women have also tried to qualify for the World Curling Championships as well, under the America's Challenge. And I believe the men are challenging again this year. So they will be playing against Team Canada in a best-of-5 series. I think that's happening in London, Ontario.
I believe so.
Alongside the Continental Cup. So what happens in the Americas is 2 teams get to go to the World Championships out of our region. And traditionally those 2 countries are Canada and the United States. If another federation wishes to challenge for one of those spots, they challenge the lowest ranked team from the previous World Championships. That usually has been the United States, but because the United States is hosting the World Men's Championships in Las Vegas this year, they get an automatic spot into the world, so the challenge is against Canada. And well, Marcelo, if he plays like that, he'll give Canada a good challenge. That was a nice raise of his first, of that yellow rock right onto the button. Yellow now sitting 2. Well, it's getting quite challenging here this end for Shibuya and Alves. I don't see any easy ways anymore to get into the button.
Yeah, it's all blocked up.
I'm wondering if they can draw around the wide side. With those guards where they are, it's very difficult to make a draw around. Let's see what they've decided here. This is their last rock of the end without the hammer, so one last chance to get a red rock in.
Yeah, I mean, they could try and put up a guard in front of the yellow rock that is sort of out there, so they could prevent the other team from pushing it back and giving them another point.
Yeah, you're right, Giovanna. That's not a bad option. Try to just limit the damage to 2 points.
Yeah.
Because it looks very challenging to get one in yourself. Looks like that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it does.
Well, that's a good shot. That's well played. Make it very tough for Luciana to get one in there. Looks like Luciana is going to attempt a wide draw. Try to get the rock to curl enough at the end to get shot rock. Marcelo now from holding the broom, now coming out to sweep. It's a pretty good looking shot. Will it catch enough of the forefoot? Yes, it does. Unbelievable shot. Great draw. Luciana Varela. And that's 3 points for yellow in the fourth end. What a nice draw, Giovanna.
Yeah.
She made it look really easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Really nice shot there. And the mixed doubles game lasts for 8 ends. So at the end of the fourth end, the teams are given a 5-minute break. They'll often come out and grab a snack. Their coach can come out to have a chat with the teams. They're using the full World Curling Federation rules here, so even before the games they get practice. They get their 1-minute timeout as well, so it's a really good event for their preparation for whoever wins for the World Championships. And the World Championships is happening in late April in Östersund, Sweden. And I'll be there representing Team Hong Kong, so I look forward to whoever is the representative from Brazil. We'll have a good time there. So Giovanna, the teams have been playing in the morning and the afternoon. So
Yeah.
what have the teams been doing in the evening? Do they hang out together? Do they go for dinner? What's going on?
Yeah, they usually kind of hang out. Last night we went to the mall together.
The Eaton Center?
Yeah, the huge Eaton Center, which we've never been to before, which was pretty cool. Yeah, and we usually grab dinner sometimes together, just hang out, and then just go back to our rooms. And they're pretty tired most of the time, so they fall asleep early.
Yeah, well, they do play 2 games a day,
Yeah,
so it is pretty tiring. And unlike the 4-person game, you need to sweep your own rocks,
That's
or you're
true.
sweeping a lot of rocks. So it can be a bit tiring.
yeah. I mean, I usually play skip, so I never have to sweep a rock usually, so I'm lucky on that end.
Yeah, some of these players I know do skip. Marcelo certainly normally skips, but it looks like he can sweep as well.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of stamina to go out and sweep rock after rock, especially if you have to sweep your own rock. Unlike the 4-person game where you have your 2 sweepers, you have to be, as a thrower, much more precise in this game because you only have 1 sweeper, sometimes half a sweeper if they have to run out from the house to come up and sweep, or if you have to get up and sweep your own rock. It makes it a bit more challenging, harder to make your shots, so precision very key. All the teams now are in their 4th end break. So there's nobody on the ice right now, so we'll give you an update on the scores over on Sheet B. Playing the Red Stones, Rodriguez and Rodriguez leading 6-1 over Adrover and Mitsuo. As you can see our sheet, it's Varela and Mello, 7-1, leading Shibuya and Alves. And over on Sheet D, Yellow has just taken 4 points. There was a really good shot by your mom, I think.
Yeah.
Made a raised takeout, I think, to help score 4 for Yellow, and that game is tied 4-4. Between Barros and McMullen, and Gonçalves and Cerquinho. So some good matches there. Now your Brazilian curling league that plays in Vancouver, which club do you play out of?
I usually play out of the Delta one, the Delta Thistle.
The
Curling
Delta
Club?
Thistle?
Yeah, the Delta Thistle.
And how many Brazilian curlers are there out there?
In Vancouver, they usually play either in Royal City or the Vancouver Curling Club, so there's not that many at the Delta one, but there's quite a bit more than there are here.
And how are you continuing to promote the sport to your community and to the Brazilians that are living in Canada or abroad?
I've been continuing playing the sport. I mean, I sort of advertise it on my Facebook a lot. That's really all that much I can do. But yeah, I like to go out and curl a lot. I just haven't been able to because of my recent injury, which kind of sucks, but it's whatever.
Now, was it a curling injury or did you injure it
No, I injured it somewhere else. It's just kind of a thing that happened.
Well, I posted about these championships on my Facebook, and then one of my curling friends tagged one of his friends who lives in Brazil. That curling's happening. So it might have been a Canadian who moved down to Brazil. I don't know. I'll have to ask them about it. But certainly, with social media, the information can spread very quickly. So I hope for anybody who's watching, who isn't curling already, get in contact with the Brazilian curlers.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure everyone here has a Facebook, so if you just search them up, you'll find them.
Yeah, you'll definitely find them on Facebook. All right, well, it's the start of the fifth end. And over on sheet C, that's our featured sheet. The red team, Shibuya and Alves, they have the last rock advantage. Their red stone started in the back of the forefoot. Yellow had the center guard. A couple of cover rounds were attempted, both of them wrecking on the guards. So Marcelo now has another chance to get a yellow one win, and he's been very sharp with his draw away today. Marcelo lives in Quebec. A little bit light on that shot. This was something we mentioned in the broadcast yesterday afternoon, but after a fourth end break, especially when all the games are off at the same time, when the ice sits and rests for a bit, sometimes it can stiffen up, and what that means is the ice might harden up a little bit and slow down during the first few rocks of the next end until the temperature comes back up with the players on the ice and making the air circulate. So that might be a reason why some of these rocks are coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, they're just sort of placing guards right now, which, I mean, it's alright for the rock behind.
That fourth end break is one of the big differences between a championship curling match and a regular league curling match you might play.
Yeah.
In a league, you don't have this break, so you don't have to be unsure about how the ice has changed during the time off. You can always be sure that your ice is the same as before, but with the 4-minute break, well, it's good to have a break, get a bit of a snack. The ice can change just a little bit, typically getting just a hair slower, so players do need to make an adjustment for that. Let's see if Marcelo has made the adjustment here. The weight looks really good. Will it curl in? Maybe just a little bit light still. Line was really good. Leaves red still sitting shot rock. Claudio now going to the other turn. Again, just a little bit light. Marcelo attempting a raise on the yellow rock he just threw. Well, moves it into the 8 foot, not quite far enough for shot rock. It's interesting, both teams, Giovanna, is still favoring this turn, this clockwise turn. Claudio just played the counterclockwise turn. I thought he might try it again, but they've gone back to this clockwise turn, and both teams have been favoring this turn. I'm not really sure why. Maybe they've just been playing so much on this side that they've decided it's easier, or they know this side will look better.
Yeah.
Nice rock by Claudio, just a little bit outside the broom, but leaves it in a good spot. He can certainly promote that with the last rock at the end. Luciana now being asked to play a guard or a draw to block off that counterclockwise draw. They're pretty content to just give up one here, if they can. Well, didn't quite add to the guards, or it added to the guards, just not guarding anything additional to the path, so Shibuya and Alves, with their last rock, they've got an option to whether to make the promotion on the red stone or play the draw on the counterclockwise side, the outturn side. They've elected to play the draw. So this is the final stone for Shibuya. An outturn draw. They need to hit the 8 foot, full 8 foot for the second point. Looks pretty good. And there he is. Nice draw. 2 points for red. Very important 2 points after trailing 7-1.
Yep.
The gap is now 7-3 after 6 ends. First rock of the 7th end coming down. And Shibuya just made a really nice draw to score 2 points for her team. This draw attempt comes a little bit short, touches the guard. Luciana, trying to draw around, also touches the guard. Giovanna, I've seen a lot of draws actually crashing on the guards, meaning the rocks are thrown tight. Either they're thrown tight or they're not giving enough ice for those shots. Do you think it's maybe curling a little bit more than yesterday, today?
I believe so. I mean, most of the teams, not just on this sheet, have been struggling with the rock curling a little bit too much. So I feel like the ice has changed a bit from yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. I mean, yesterday during the game that I was broadcasting in the afternoon, I thought the ice was maybe curling about 3 feet. It looks like they're getting a bit more than 3 feet now, so... Well, this rock's coming in really nicely. This red rock being thrown by Claudio. They're trying to sweep it into the top of the rings. I'm just peeking over on sheet B. Rodriguez and Rodriguez was leading Adrover and Mitsuo 6-1. But a final rock hit and stick has just tied the game. That was a hit and stick for 5. Made by Thaisa Adrover. And that game is now tied 6-6. So things are getting exciting over there on sheet B. And over on sheet D, they were tied 4-4 after 4 ends. And in the 5th end, the Red Stones by Gonçalves and Cerqueño, they take 2 to lead 6-4 over Barros and McMullen. Barros and McMullen now with the hammer in the 6th end. Claudio made a nice draw with his first red rock. That's just sitting full top 8 foot. He's trying to come down, make a draw again, or make the tap back. Nice throw on that, nice weight. Just needed to maybe curl a little bit more or have a little bit more weight on it. That's a really nice stone. It really blocks off that side of the rings, makes it hard for yellow to get more rocks into the 4 foot, that side at least. Well, with the left side of the rings blocked off, Marcelo doesn't have any choice but to go to the right side of the rings. Try to make the draw from the other side. Six teams in this mixed doubles national championships. Is this the biggest nationals ever, or have there been 6 teams in the past as well?
I'm not quite sure with the number. I've never really played in these, so. But I'm pretty sure this is one of the biggest ones that they've had so far.
Marcelo trying to make the draw again. His first one was a bit tight and light. This one maybe a bit wide. It's sitting 4th shot. So yellow's still counting 1 at the back of the 4-foot. That was the original rock that was placed there. Belonged to Varela and Mello. They have the last rock advantage, the hammer, here in the 6th end. And the final stones are coming up for each team. And Shibuya is going to attempt to make a draw. Is really nice. Claudio sweeping it into the top of the 8-foot. And even though it's not shot stone, it takes away the draw path. So you can see Marcelo motioning to Luciano that you need to make a raise. You need to push that yellow stone into the 4-foot area to try to score 2. Try to hit about a quarter or a third of that yellow stone on the outside. Probably need about hack weight to make the shot. Marcelo running out to sweep it. I don't think this has the weight to make the shot.
Yeah, it doesn't seem.
It'll be 1 yellow in the 6th end. Varela and Mello take an 8-3 lead. Don't think they'll be too upset with taking 1 point and having a 5-point lead going to the 7th end. Now, one of the things I've noticed so far in these championships is that all the teams seem to be saving their power play till very late in the game.
Yeah.
And a few times I've noticed that teams didn't actually get a chance to use their power play. You can only use your power play when you have not scored in the last end. So when you have the hammer, you can choose to use your power play. So this is a situation where Shibuya and Alves could have chosen to use their power play. Now I know some teams tend not to use their power play because their philosophy is that we've been playing so much to the middle that they know the ice, they know the speed going to the middle, so why change it up and completely change the path of where your rocks are going and move to the sides? And that does make sense. I know when I've played mixed doubles, sometimes when you put up the corner guard and then try to go around that, the speed of the draw is completely different. And then you can't seem to score any points going on the power play. But if you do know the speed and know the ice, the power play can be a very powerful tool. Moving to the corner guard. You open up the scoring area in the middle if you have the hammer. And you can, of course, throw rocks behind the corner guard. It becomes very difficult for the non-hammer team to defend against the corner guard. Well, An just made a really nice draw behind all those yellow rocks. Red sitting shot stone and second shot stone on the back of the 4 and the back of the button, I believe. If you're watching mixed doubles for the first time, you might be wondering why, with an 8-3 lead, Marcelo is not peeling the guards or removing the guards and try to get access to the red stones at the back. In mixed doubles, the free guard zone is still in effect, so you can only remove rocks of your own color as well as the opponent's color on the 4th stone that is being delivered. So this rock being delivered by the red team, Claudio can remove rocks if he so decides. I think he's just going to try to draw another red rock into the rings though. They do need to score a few points here to close up the gap and have a chance in the 8th end. Rubs off the guard, rolls into the top 8. Pretty good spot. Well, now Marcelo is able to hit past the free guard zone time, so Marcelo is able to hit this red rock. I think he's going to attempt the double takeout, try to get 2 of the red ones out. He's got to be a bit careful not to jam it onto his own yellow rock. Oh, they're re-evaluating. Timeout being called by Marella and Mello. they're going to have a bit of discussion here. Well, they talked it over. I think they've gone back to the same shot that they were calling before.
Yeah. With a little bit less space.
Well, it looks like they've tightened up the ice again, but now Marcelo maybe is calling for a guard or a draw. They've changed their mind again, I think.
I'm not quite sure. He might be attempting to draw in.
Yeah, possibly a draw, possibly a guard. I guess he thought maybe the double was a bit risky just in case he jammed it on his own yellow rock. That is right now second shot. This looks like a draw. Over curling a little bit. Well, I'm not sure I liked the change of plans actually. With a 5-point lead, I probably would have stuck with that double takeout.
Yeah.
Even if you got one of those red rocks out of play, at least you're eliminating red rocks from possibly counting. Now you've made the house quite congested and very complicated, become more difficult to remove red rocks as the run progresses, and you're leaving the red rocks in play, and Claudio's going to have a chance to tap that red rock up into the button area behind guards. Try to sit a couple of points. Well, Claudio's rock over curls, wrecks on the guard and leaves up another guard. And where that red rock just ended up, it makes it very difficult for Shibuya and Alves to promote that red rock now. So if Varela and Mello can choke off this left side of the rings, it'll become quite difficult for Shibuya and Alves to score more than 1 point. Once again, they're losing the rocks on the line here. They're over curling a lot. That one ends up in a good spot though. They've caught that early. realized it was over curling, swept it to make that shot, the shooter clip off of the guard and roll into a good spot. So that was very heads up line calling and sweeping by this team of Varela and Mello. Not much room left now to come into the rings. Claudio having to go further out, even wider around this guard. And again, it clips the guard. This last rock for Luciana and Yellowstones in this end. They don't have the hammer, but they're going to try to block off completely this left side and make it impossible for red to get another one in. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm really not sure how red's going to score more than 1 point here. Yeah, looking at maybe this in-off, hitting that red stone and rolling into the forefoot. That might be their only option. Final stone for Anne Shibuya, trying to come in off this red one. Won't curl enough. Hits it on the outside, rolls away. It'll be a single point for red. In the 7th end, Varela and Mello will lead 8-4 heading into the final end, the 8th end. Well, as you can see on your screen, Barella and Mello have decided to use their power play. And the power play can be used as a defensive or an offensive mechanism. So if you try to score points, a power play can be used as an offensive mechanism. But you can also use it as a defensive mechanism when you've got a big lead. Moving that guard to the corner keeps the middle open, so the team with hammer can have access to the button near the end of the end. So that's the case here. Using it for defense. Luciano was asked to play a draw. I'm actually not sure why they were playing the draw, because they really don't need to score any more points. They could have just thrown this rock through. With that rock coming short, it acts as another guard that red could potentially use to draw and bury some rocks around. They do need 4 to tie the game, so the more rocks in play, the better for red. Well, Marcelo can now make a takeout here. It's the 4th thrown stone of the end, so he's going to try to remove the red stone. Removes the guard. Rolls right out. It's a good shot. The red team is starting to run short on rocks. They do need to score 4 points here. They have 1 in the rings, and only 3 stones left to throw, so they need to make every one count now. Well, Claudio successfully puts the rock in the rings. But it gives Marcelo a pretty big target here to run the red out of rocks. I think if he just removes one of them, it should be enough. While peeking in on the other games, every game now in the final end, the 8th end, and over on sheet B, after trailing 6-1 at the break, Agrovert and Mitsuo have stormed back, and they're now leading 9-6 over Rodriguez and Rodriguez. And over on sheet D, it's a 1-point game. Gonzalez and Cerqueño leading by 1 point over Barros and McMullen, and it is a final. On our featured sheet, that's sheet C, Shibuya and Alves realizing that they don't have enough rocks to tie the game, have conceded the game to Barea and Melo, and they now go to 4-0 in the standings, and first place right now. Well, Giovanna, how did you see the game? What was the difference for Barea and Melo?
It was a good game. There was some shots that were really great. I feel like Barella and Melo just got a little bit more used to the ice than the other team. It took into account that after the break, it would be a bit slower, but other than that, both teams played really well.
Yeah, both teams made some good shots there. And I think you're right, after that 4th end break, Marcelo and Luciana seem to just have that draw weight and maybe the line just a little bit better than the other team. And that propelled them to the 8-4 victory, running their opponents out of stones in the 8th end. Now I wonder if we can get the camera shifted over to the other sheet to see if we can see the other game. Our fantastic tech crew adjusting the cameras might be one of the fans and coaches helping us out. And there we go. We're now on sheet D. That's perfect. We're over on sheet D, and they're in the 8th end. It's Gonzalez and Cerqueño playing the Red Stones. They're up by 1 without the hammer, playing against Barros and McMullen. Gonzalez and Cerqueño, they're also entering this 4th draw at 3-0, trying to keep pace with Barea and Melo, who have just won their game on our feature sheet. Barros and McMullen, they're at 2-1, so a very important game for them because finishing 1st and 2nd in the round robin gives you a big advantage going to the playoffs. So Barros and McMullen trying to defeat the undefeated team right now, trying to get themselves to 3 wins. And looking at the rings, Barros and McMullen are sitting shot rock and 2nd shot rock. So they are already sitting 2. And that's all they need to win the game. 1 point to tie, 2 points to win. Still a few rocks left in this end. I think Scott wanted that to be a bit shorter. He wanted that to actually just guard his shot stone and 2nd shot stone. Instead, he's come in and tapped the red one, frozen onto his own. And I think the double takeout is certainly there now for Marcio Cerqueño. I'm not sure if the triple is there or not. It's hard to tell from this angle. Might be possible. Big weight from Marcio Cerqueño. Looks like he just set that stone wide. Goes past everything.
And it looks like they're about to do a draw again, this time hopefully a bit higher than the shot that they got last time.
Yeah, they only need to be in the top 12 foot, top 8 foot, even just in front of the rings is good here. Barros and McMullen in a really good situation. And over on sheet B, we have a final to report. Adrover and Mizio, they complete the comeback. A single point in the 8th end, and they are victorious 10-6 over Rodriguez and Rodriguez. And back to our game. Looks like Scott was just heavy again. I think it slipped to the back of the 12 foot. Close to the back line, so a really big mistake from Scott McMullen. The good news is yellow is still sitting 3. So Aline needs to make a double takeout. She at least needs the double takeout to force Barros and McMullen to have to throw the last rock. And a miss would mean victory for Barros and McMullen. Big weight here from Aline. Will it catch the rock? Just grazes it, not enough. So it will be 4 for Barros and McMullen. Not needing their final stone, they complete the comeback in 8 ends. And so what a finish we had in sheets B and D. Barros and McMullen now move to 3-1. They drop Gonzalez and Cerqueño to 3-1. And now alone at the top of the standings is Varela and Melo. They are the only undefeated team left at 4-0. Mizio and Adrover, they get their first win. Move to 1-3. And Rodriguez still without a win. They are at 0-4. Shibuya and Alves also at 1-3. So, if I'm looking at the standings correctly, Giovanna, Barea and Melo at 4-0, they will be guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. Gonzalez and Cerqueño, Barros and McMullen, they're both at 3-1. I think they're both guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. Just the positioning might change between first, second, and third, but they're all guaranteed. And then Shibuya and Alves, they're at 1-3. Adrover and Mizio are at 1-3. And Rodriguez are 0-4. So it's possible that any of those teams could be the 4th place team, right? Because if they can get 1 win, there could be a 3-way tie, and then we'll go to the draw the button challenge to see who can get in. But right now, every team's still alive for the final draw of the round robin. That comes up tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., right?
Yeah.
And of course, you'll be here calling the game with my friend Ray. And then the afternoon, we have the playoffs will start, right? So it should be an exciting day tomorrow on Friday. But a good day of curling here at the Royal Canadian Curling Club. So on behalf of all the Brazilian curlers, the Brazilian Ice Sports Federation and Curling Zone, thanks for watching the 2017 Brazilian Mixed Doubles Curling Championships from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Until tomorrow morning, we're signing off.
I'll see you guys next time.